Here we are again. Another Thursday, another Carvers and Creators. Thank you so much for joining us. Hello and welcome. This is a Thursday edition. We've done some Wednesday ones, but we're back on track. This is season 2, episode 38 of Carvers and Creators, a weekly demonstration and discussion with pumpkin carvers, sculptors, and multi-talented artists. We please ask that you please give us a like and a follow on the platform you're watching us on. Let us know in the comments where you're watching from, and if you have any questions for the carvers and our special guest. Let's meet the carvers. Let's do it.
All right, sure.
Come on, Paul.
Why not?
Let's do this. Let's do this.
First, he is an artist and sculptor from Boston, Massachusetts. He's a 2019 champion of Food Network's Outrageous Pumpkins. Paul Dever, welcome.
Hello. Happy Thursday,
Hello.
everybody.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Next, he's a multimedia sculpture artist from Tucson, Arizona, and a finalist on Halloween Wars 2019 on the Food Network, Matt Harper.
Aloha. Hello, everyone.
Yes.
So good to be here.
Our guest tonight creates beautiful works of art from everyday discarded items. In doing so, she has become an amazingly accomplished trash sculptor. Please welcome Stephanie Hongo.
Welcome.
Welcome. We're so glad to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. My name is Michael Mondragon, and I'll be running the show, moderating comments, and chiming in from time to time.
Handsome bastard.
Fan favorite.
I need a headshot like that.
I know.
I need a last name like that.
There you go.
All right. We all do.
Dragon.
So last week's carving subject was repulsive primate. So Paul, this is your offering. Tell us more about it.
There's not much to say, guys. Listen, the only thing repulsive about a primate that I've come to find out is when they fling their own poo or do something disgusting to themselves, and you really can't portray that in a squash. I had carved a like a grub out of potato, but I couldn't carve it small enough to fit on his tongue. So it's implied he's doing something disgusting with that tongue. It's implied.
I love the mouth. It's really good. It's I love like the depth in it and the tongue and all that. I think you did a great job with it.
Thank you. He's doing something gross off screen. That's what makes him repulsive.
Paul, what I love about this one, the thing that caught my eye is when you go from his eyes around his mouth, it looks like he's like sucking back into his own skin. I don't know if that was intentional, but it is so cool. I've never seen you do like it makes the skin look like it's folding around his face. It makes him look like he's reviling and disgust, or going like that. You know. And anyway,
sure. If that's what you see, that's what I meant.
That's what you meant. Good work. Nice work.
Thank you, pal. You're the best. I appreciate you.
Hey.
Yeah, so good. And we talk about this before. It's like, and Paul doesn't. Well, he's starting to get it. We can see now if you put a whole bunch of carvings in front of me, and I could pick out Paul's. Because I just the characteristics are so distinct. Everything you talked about, the mouth, definitely the eyes for sure. You know, you definitely have a very distinct quality that separates you from others. So
from the primates.
Yes,
from other primates. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you.
You have an extra chromosome.
Or I'm missing one. One of the
Or
others.
you're missing one. That's right.
Yeah, look at that.
This is
hair.
Matt. Yeah. So good.
Damn.
The thing I kind of strayed from was what was the
Repulsive.
Repulsive. So he was more repulsed than repulsive. I think I just kept thinking of like he's upset as opposed to being gross. But anyway, you know I had a big, long, tall one, so I made him lots of hair.
Dynamite brow. Dynamite.
Yeah.
It is.
He's pissed.
He is pissed. Yeah, he is repulsed.
Good one. The eyes came out great too. The glint is perfect in those eyes because the brow's so forward. You know what I mean? So the eyes are so deep set. Sometimes, like I have that problem with the light getting lost. Yeah. And they pulled it too perfect, and it just brings another depth to it. I love it.
How do you create that sheen on the eye?
It's funny because like that one specifically, I cheated a little bit because. Normally, so we take one of these little tiny tools like this, a little kind of half, what is this, brass?
Yeah, so like a brass rod.
Brass rod, it's hard to see, sorry.
Yeah,
Okay. So you core it out, right? And when you do it from the side, normally when you peel into it, it's kind of that orange colored flavor. But on the outside, it's that kind of lighter color. So I left that circle on the outside, so it almost looks a little bit more.
Oh, I see.
Whitish or whatever. Other ones you don't have that luxury, or you peeled away or something like that, or it's a darker color on a pumpkin, obviously. So these you can kind of make it a little bit lighter by just using the exterior of the squash, so to speak.
Squash. You are the master of hair, by the way. I think I've said this 1,000 times before, but man,
yes.
you can rock the lettuce on these things.
When you don't have any, when you don't have any, it's like all you dream about is like, if I can.
And there's a big difference in the texture of the hair on the head versus like what you've done on the chin too. It's also very good.
Yeah, I agree. He's always so good. There's such a discerning line between skin and hair or flow of any sort, and he nails it every time.
Thank you,
son of a.
Bless you.
Stop being so talented, Harper. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, and if you're friends with Matt on Facebook, he posts always just crazy pictures, like for his profile picture. Yeah. And you did one recently with like a bunch of like beehive, like hairdos and stuff like that. And I feel like this one was inspired by this as well. That the 2-layered hair.
This guy would be at home in the '60s and rocking a big coif.
So would I. Man, oh man.
Yeah. I love it.
So good. So
great
good.
job, buddy.
I work in pixels and vectors. So I definitely wanted to give a tribute to one of my favorite characters. I looked at the face of this one. I'm just like, I bet if I did a Tony Soprano on it.
I was going to say Soprano.
Yeah, exactly.
Woke up this morning.
Yeah, I got myself a banana.
Oh yeah, look at that.
That's
great.
I'm finding a lot of fun doing kind of mashups between like the human and the primates, and just giving them personality and stuff like that. But I definitely had to give a tribute to one of my favorite characters, obviously Tony Soprano. But it's like he's repulsive, right? And I think there's a big question: is Tony Soprano a heel or a baby face? A lot of people think that he's a good guy, And
to me, he's a good guy.
Yeah,
the anti-hero.
He's a
hero.
Yeah. He's repulsive. He'd slit your neck in a second. So
he'd give you a hug first, maybe.
He would. He'd give you some cash, and then
he was always sweating. I find that repulsive.
He does look like he's been jumping rope all the time.
Right, and that's just from breathing.
Yeah. That's awesome, Mick.
Thanks. Job, I appreciate it. Yeah, these challenges are great, just like getting the creativity going. But Stephanie, I'd like to introduce you to the 4th member of Carvers and Creators, responsible for choosing our carving subject tonight. It is the hollow wheel, the center spinner, and as always, Paul will tell you more about it right now.
Happy Thursday, kids. The wheel. Here we are again on another Thursday. So this week, the subjects will be ghoul, old-timey, voluptuous, fantasy, psychopathic, outer space, guest choice, zombie, trashy for Stephanie, villain. Not saying trash art.
There we go.
Trash art. The second spin will be the emotion. It will be bored, horny, terrified, enraged, giddy, elated, grizzled, stoned, euphoric, or confused. Steph, you got enough trash laying around to bang one of these things out here?
Yeah, probably 15 of them.
Nice. Right on.
It's nuts over there, I'm telling you.
One for every
here we go. Loosen up the old shoulder with some carving oil.
Let's do it.
Fantasy.
Ooh la la.
Not French.
What does that mean? I don't know.
It landed on the same thing. Giddy fantasy.
Okay. I'm gonna write that one down.
Whose idea was the wheel?
You can say
Giddy fantasy. All right. I got some. I see there's some whimsical stuff running through my head right now.
Okay, giddy.
All running out
The opposite of how I'm feeling right now. Giddy. Got it.
Holy Moses! What are we supposed to do with that?
Giddy fantasy.
Okay, just so my own, because I don't know this world very well. What the hell is a fantasy character? It's like an elf and shit like that.
Yeah, like fairies and dragons and
Dragons. Dragons.
Centaur.
So anything fantasy related. Make believe.
Now we're going into full body carves.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't know if we got enough
Right, like
squash.
you can't do that with just 5.
Yeah, I can't just do that with squash.
Who would know?
Oh, wheel. How I hate you.
The wheel. You started this, Paul? This wheel?
Yeah, you know what? Because I just love being miserable. It's just out of the country we come from, right?
Have you gone through all of them at least once? Or are there some that you just haven't?
The only one we really haven't hit is
Voluptuous.
And I remember it was because since the Shiflett brothers were on and they chose Grizzled.
Were they?
Yeah, Shiflett brothers.
Oh, that's awesome. I'll have to go back and find that.
Yeah,
that was a fun one.
That was it. They a lot of everything on the wheel pretty much was contributed by past guests.
That's so cool.
Yep.
It is. But we haven't hit Grizzled, so.
But the one we were like dying to do, I think, is voluptuous because we were trying to think of a way to say
voluptuous.
fat.
Yeah.
We couldn't say fat, so we had to be.
Yeah, like, this would be the perfect voluptuous squash.
Yeah.
Wait, got to get creative.
You got to get really a chubby one like that.
Come on, man. Nobody likes to show off. Knock it out.
Hey, come on. Work with it.
All right. So if you're creating with us, if you're carving with us, we're going to give you 5 minutes to get your tools together, whatever you need to do. Meanwhile, we're going to go around the horn and see what our carving oil is for tonight. Stephanie, our guest, you've inspired the group to on their carving oil, but tell us what you got.
I'm so honored. So I made a Manhattan.
Ooh,
yeah.
Yeah. Complete with, I know you can't see it, but I've got a chunky cube in there and an orange wedge, and the most important part, a Luxardo cherry.
Oh,
wow,
yeah,
those are the sweetest ones.
The Luxardo, I don't even bring a maraschino in this house. I'm not about a maraschino in my cocktails.
This ain't no Shirley Temple house. Yeah, we're having
Matt, what do you got?
Okay, so Paul and I, when we were in Orlando, and on Tucson, we had a bottle of this stuff. There's a little bit left. It's E.H. Taylor, and if she's going brown water, I'm going brown water.
Yeah.
I got one poured, so that's my beverage of choice tonight.
I like it.
Nice. Paul.
Water. I'm gonna drink water.
and you're gonna cut it. You're gonna cut it with what?
No one believes you.
Glenfiddich. It's an 18-year single malt Scotch whiskey from Scotland.
Aye.
Given to me by a good friend of mine, and I try not to drink it that much, but when we have an established guest on like this, I feel it's a special occasion.
I'm honored.
So
it is.
So nice. Mickey,
yes,
what
sir.
are you drinking?
Well, I'm gonna be the nerd, and I'm gonna go with the Steady Eddie beer. So this is the 11th anniversary IPA from Smog City Brewing.
Oh, that can is dynamite!
Cool.
Super cool. Yeah.
What is playing that guitar? Is that a squirrel?
It is.
Oh yeah.
Or is that it might be like a
I
walrus.
don't know.
No, it looks like a squirrel with really sharp teeth, like a saber-tooth squirrel.
And then it's got
robot drummer.
Yeah. So this is a great brewery out of I think it's like Carson, which is funny because Carson is where the LA Galaxy of the MLS play. They're the Los Angeles Galaxy. Carson is not LA. It's basically almost San Diego. But I joke, but it's not that far. But it's LA is so big that you can be 100 miles out of town and still be Los Angeles. Actually, the baseball team, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, are actually that's literally their name.
The name, yeah.
The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
Close enough.
They're next to Disneyland, which is not LA. So
what? I thought we were going to Disneyland in a couple weeks.
Our version of Disneyland.
Come on, man. Well, I mean, I still say, I mean, I live in Wilmington, so that's like 15 miles north of Boston, but if you ask somebody where Wilmington is, they don't know.
Yeah,
You tell
exactly.
somebody where Boston is.
You just say Boston and you're good.
Stephanie, where do you live? You're Connecticut, right?
Yeah, I'm in Southington, Connecticut.
Which is near
close, like kind of close to the Hartford area.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
little known fact, I was born in Bloomfield, Connecticut.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice. Fun fact.
They had to burn the city down when I left, though. I'm sure it's still there. It's still maybe there. I just haven't.
Well, cheers to our creations.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here tonight, Stephanie, and inspiring the group to drink brown water. We appreciate it. Yes.
You're welcome.
We don't have any of those 4-pound cherries, though. Those things are so dense.
It's a damn shame. It's like $30 a jar, so I'm not surprised.
They are so expensive.
I don't mess around with my cocktails, though. So
that's we're flattered that you chose your expensive cherries for us.
Yeah,
so thank you very much.
Exactly. So, Stephanie, tell us your journey. Are you a classically trained artist? Did you fall into this? Was it thrust upon you? How did it all happen?
I would say more the latter. But I have always been kind of involved in art in some respect or another since I was a kid. Like I can remember being very small and like I always had a craft box as a kid. Like I've been using a glue gun since I was like 5 years old. So it's always been something that's been of interest to me. And then I went to college for art. I majored in illustration, which is kind of bananas because it wasn't until after I graduated college that I realized I really don't enjoy drawing at all. So I don't know why I did that, but I was an illustration major. And that was mostly just because I was initially actually an English major, but I have a twin sister and she was majoring in illustration. And when like all of the stuff started coming the summer before for our initiation and everything, I got a packet of stuff that I was supposed to review and come into initiation to try to like discuss all this literature and everything. And she didn't get anything. And I was like, I'm not going to be an English teacher. This is bullshit. I'm going to switch over and I'm going to be an artist just like you, like whatever. So I ended up majoring in illustration. Fast forward to my working life, I wasn't really doing much with art until I just got a job at Trader Joe's as a sign artist. So I worked there for 5 years, which I actually really adored. It was a great job for quite some time. And then it started to go downhill and then it tanked super hard and I hated it. And I was just like, I got to get out of here. I got to find something else to do. So I was looking for all kinds of art jobs. I was kind of open to whatever, but it needed to be fine art. Like I have no digital art experience whatsoever. I know nothing about graphic design. And that's kind of where the jobs are for artists for the most part. Yeah. So I was having a really hard time finding any work. And then just all at once, it just became clear that I couldn't stay where I was. So I left without anything lined up. And my plan was to just kind of be a freelance artist, just kind of do whatever jobs became available or make portraits and sell them, whatever it was going to be. I started kind of focusing more towards like trying to be a muralist, and I had very little in my portfolio as far as mural work went. Only really one good one that I could show. So that was kind of not really a possibility to get the ball rolling. And I had been following this artist, Bordalo II, on Instagram. Are you guys familiar with him at all?
No.
So I highly recommend looking up his work. He's in Europe and he makes these very large scale trash installation murals. And I was just kind of like sitting on my couch, wallowing in my despair that I had like no job and like no money. And I was just like, what am I going to do? So just looking at Instagram and I see his work and I was like, I know I can do some version of this. Obviously not as good as him because he's amazing. But I was like, I know I can do something like this. And it's just too bad that I don't have anyone that's going to commission me to do a grand project on the side of their building. Like you can't just go slapping trash on someone's property. So I was like, well, you know, maybe I don't need to do it that large. Maybe I can just kind of scale it down and I can make my own, you know, creatures out of smaller, more manageable things. Like just put it on a board and make art that way. And then I can sell them individually. So that's what I did. The first one that I did was a blue deer that I named Yondu. And the response from that, not just the response from that piece, but also just the fulfillment that I got from making that work was the most I had ever gotten from any kind of art that I've ever made in my whole life.
Wow.
And I was like, this is, if I can make this work, I'm going to do this.
That's awesome.
So here we are.
Well,
was the whole time were you all in? Is this all within Connecticut? Like you were around home?
Yeah.
And stuff? Okay.
Yeah, basically. I did a lot of moving as a kid, but all of this story, for the most part, takes place in Connecticut.
That is so awesome.
Yeah. Thank God that, the job blew, or else I might still be at Trader Joe's.
Exactly. I mean, this is so. I love hearing about the inspiration being kind of like an Instagram stumble upon. I mean, Paul and I have a romantic story we can tell you about how we became pals and started the show based on like a complete random, like, oh my God, I'm inspired by Paul's stuff. He liked mine, and next thing you know, here we are. But I think that's really cool. And it's just crazy because that wasn't even a thing, that long ago. I mean, you could go to the library and check out a book and look, flip through somebody's art, years ago. But it's just so neat that you get that inspiration and you're like, this is what I'm going to do, and then find that fulfillment so quick. That is, anyway,
yeah. Well, I mean, I owe pretty much any success I found in this to the fact that the internet is a thing. I mean, I'm sure that
I agree.
It would still be like a little community of people, I'm sure, in my town that like what I do and support it and all of that. But I also don't think I would have grown as quickly and been able to do it as much as I did if it wasn't for the interest in it. Because really that's what it is. Like, you have a community of people that really love it. They support it. They want to buy it. And then that allows you to continue making work. And then you keep growing. And the more demand, the more you're able to actually do it. So I have a love-hate relationship with all social media. But it's just it's really because of social media that I'm able to do this.
That's so awesome.
I agree 100% with that. And the only reason people find your work nowadays is through social media.
Absolutely.
Really, like I know the only reason that I got my start is I would sculpt a pumpkin, put it on my doorstep, and post it next to my kids when they were like little babies.
Yeah,
the size of a pumpkin, right? So that was the cute photo. And a friend of mine took my photo and sent it to a company that was coming to the World Trade Center, the Seaport in Boston, looking for a pumpkin carver. I had no idea. I didn't see it on Facebook. She went ahead and did it for me.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah. So that's the only reason that anyone ever saw my pumpkins.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. You never know. You really just never know what little thing you do within your creative career that's going to be important.
Right, that spark.
What's going to lead to what, and you just try everything. Just put it out there whenever you can.
So this is one of my favorites of yours, the octopus. I'm just a huge fan of it.
Yeah, I love it too.
Anyway, but this one, and like seeing if you guys are not following her, just hurry up. Just Sugarfox, just go do it. But
everybody follows her.
You're amazing at showing kind of the how you built it, how you kind of created it. And I think that's it's so much fun from a creative person's perspective. I'm like, I love seeing the end piece, but I also love seeing kind of the progress. Nikki, you are an expert, dude. Thank you. That's awesome. But that to me is so, because when you look at the end piece, you're like, okay, that's a beautiful fox. I don't care what it's sculpted out of. But then when you see the beginning, you're like, wait a minute, I see forks and I see plastic pieces of garbage. I mean, it's just amazing to me. It's like, yeah. So I'm always enamored by like the progress photos, and you do a great job of doing that.
Yeah, I think as the maker of things, sometimes you don't really realize what other people might find interesting about your work. Like for a while, I was sharing my stuff on like Facebook groups and all that sort of thing, and I was just putting the final image. And then there was one that I just especially liked the look of the unfinished sort of raw plastic version of it. And I put them both up side by side, and that post got so much more interest than just showing the completed piece that I was like, well, clearly this is the interesting part about what I do, and I should just lean into that. And I don't mind. Like, some artists I'm sure don't like showing their process, but I don't care. It's like, whatever.
Well, I agree with you 100%. If I do time lapsed stuff of anything that I do, it gets way more traction than if I just post a finished thing. But
yeah, I'm sure. I've had so many people, and I've been trying for years. I've had so many people reach out to me and say it would be really cool to see a time lapse of your work. And I agree. It would be really, really cool, but I don't know how to do it for the life of me. I've been trying for a while. And the biggest problem with it is because like I've made time lapses of me doing other things like painting and stuff. Because I can just like set up the camera and I can just kind of go about my business and it's all in one spot and it's and everything. But with this stuff, quite often I'm up digging around through like a heap of garbage for however long, looking for pieces and coming back, trying them, seeing if they work. If they don't, I'm back at the trash heap. There's like long periods of time where I'm not touching it. And then when I am, I'm usually like pivoting it like 360 degrees, trying to check out what it looks like from all angles.
Yeah.
And I'm putting it down. I use a drill. So I'm like right in the space of the camera. It's hard to capture the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like one day maybe, but
I've kind of figured it out with some of that too. And to pass this knowledge on to you is never think about it being seamed together. If you do a bunch of time lapse stuff, and then go in and combine it later, it's just as amazing. Because if you use the iPhone time lapse feature, 5 hours of your life gets condensed into 35 seconds.
I know
So you could stop that, and then you could actually time lapse your trip to the trash heap on like a stick or whatever, right? So it just pops in and out. But that stuff, it's funny how time lapse seams together so fast. There's no. I was always afraid of it because I'm like, what if I screw up? What if I F this up so much that I got to throw it away? Well, the good news is nobody's ever seen it because I'm just time lapsing it. It's for me. I had to get over that. And then by the end of it, if you like the way it turned out, and then I'd go back and watch the time lapse and be impressed myself, being like, Jesus, that was a lot of time I spent. Look at the progress. That's so quick.
Yeah.
I wish it took 35 seconds instead of like 2 weeks. Like I'm sure some things take you months to do, right? To find the right pieces.
The longest that wall that you had up there was the longest I've ever worked on something. That's the other thing too. Typically I like, which is what I really love about what you guys do. I have a hard time sitting with a project for too long. I start to lose all my ambition to finish it and my interest in it. And I'm just like, nope, all done, on to the next one. So if it takes me too long, the quality of work starts to go downhill
100%.
because my interest is just completely taken away. So the wall was a huge undertaking for me because all said, it took me like 5 months to get through it, which is the longest I've ever stuck with a project. And by the end, I was starting to feel myself doing that. And I was like, no, it's the biggest opportunity you've had so far. You can't just phone it in, just keep it moving, like same momentum. And that was hard for me to do.
That's another good point you make, because I went through the same thing last year with some projects. Matt and I are the same exact way, and the same as you. I lose so much interest so fast. ADD, call it what you want. Just call it like the revolving brain, like I'm on to the next thing. But when you are hired to do something and you have a concept, to see it through to completion is like this own journey in itself, to keep yourself like engaged, and you want to do your best work. And isn't it so much better though when you go through that struggle and you get to the end and you see how good it's like an internal battle with your brain to stay interested in that one project. I go through it. I hate making a cup of coffee because I gotta put milk in it, and then there's sugar that gotta go in. Like, so this is like 10 times as hard. But like a project for 5 months, like you must have had to. Did you have to submit like sketches of what you were going to do? You had to get it approved. And then there's like phases of what you had to do. So you must have had to break it down into incremental things to be like, okay, this will keep my interest. This will keep my interest. Then I'll be to this point. Then I'll be to this point.
So the nice thing about that project, the way that I did it, so it was a concrete wall, and I work on wood. All my pieces are just, various plastics and other junk. Built layer upon layer on a sheet of plywood or masonite or whatever it might be. So for that particular project, what I ended up doing was I got the wall prepped, I cleaned it, I put masonry primer all over it. Then I took a series of plywood boards and I just kind of fastened them all up with bolts, bolted them to the wall. And then I primed the whole thing again. Then I painted the mural on top of it. And then one by one, we took the boards down off the wall. I brought them home. I built the pieces on them, and then I reinstalled them back on the wall.
Wow.
So that way the mural would be nice. Because I wasn't really sure. I wanted to do the mural first because I wanted to be able to see how the creatures would sit in the space. And I thought that building the creatures first and then forming the mural around it would be a little more difficult. So I did the mural first and then just found the spot for the creature. So that was the best way to do it. And because I did it in that sort of staging sort of way, I was able to pull the board that I wanted to work on next and be like, okay, I want to do an octopus now, work on that. Maybe like I didn't work on it consistently all those 5 months. I did a couple projects in between. So I was able to kind of come back to it. So it was nice that I had a nice buffer of time to work on it, because it really did allow me to kind of continue doing things that weren't always focused on that. And it kept it fresh.
And that's the only way to do it. Seriously, chaos equals cash in a way, right? You need to have more work than you can handle. So you can, it's like compartmentalize. Is that the right word? You know what I mean? Like you lose interest in one, you're like, because I'm thinking about starting this other one. Then you do a little on that, then you juiced again for the other one. And bouncing around is the way to go. Like even the way we carve, we can't focus on one part of our carving. Like it has to be a fluid thing. Like, all right, I've lost interest in the nose. I'm moving on to the eye. I'm moving on to this. And I mean, I applaud you, because if somebody commissions me for 2 or 3 carvings, oh Jesus, that's a lot of focus for a long time. And they're gonna rot. So like I wish I had some sort of a time frame where they're like, take your time. And I'm like, taking my time is 2 days. Like, I need to be out of my house before they start molding.
So have you guys always been pumpkins exclusively, or have you tried doing any other kind of carving or sculpture or anything like that? Or is it?
Well, Matt originally was a stripper. That's what his original.
I was at a cruise ship for a long time on Chippendales, and I did
a Chippendale.
No, that wasn't me. That wasn't me. Somebody else. So, but I've dabbled in other things and kind of discovered pumpkins. I got started late in life with doing anything in sculpture, but kind of what you described is like that gratification when you first did your first. I would find that when I sculpted that I never had in anything else, drawing or anything else. I was like, oh my God, look at, there it is. I did that. Just like have that wonderful feel. I knew that there was I had to make something physical, and I welded, I made giant things out of concrete. I did like other things. But to me, when I found this medium, for whatever reason, it was like, this is like, it spoke to me more than anything else. And it was subtractive medium, right? So you're only digging in, but it's also temporary. And I think that feeds my like brain of, okay, everything you make sucks, so it's a good thing it just rots. You know, that's, you know what I mean? So it goes away. It goes away. It's ephemeral. Is that right?
Ephemeral. Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. That was like kind of the same thing that I like.
Ice sculptures or any this stuff goes away. And so there's what I've learned, and I think Paul, we talked about it on other episodes, but the love we have for this thing is in the making of it. And if you like, when you I'll be presumptive and think, when you are making something, you're like in the middle of it and you see it and you cannot stop. If you put down your drill, you put down your stuff, your life will end. Like, you have it in, like, I've had those moments, like when I'm carving, where if I stop at all right now, the whole moment will be lost. And if it takes me 2 more hours and I'm thirsty, I'm hungry, I'm tired, whatever it is, I don't care, because I have to get it done. So that's like the kind of the pinnacle for me. I like the best feeling I have. But there's other things too. We're drinking.
I get it all the time. I know I'm enjoying something if when Lenora calls me up for dinner, I go, yeah, I'll be right up. And then it's like 11 o'clock at night when I come up.
It's got plastic on it.
You can't break the flow. I was in the zone.
I truly, there's plenty of things that I've made that I cannot get done in just one sitting, just because they're too large or too involved or whatever. Like the guys behind me, all that stuff back there was not a day. Like, I had to break that over the course of several days. So, there's only so much I can do in one day, but I do as much as I can when I'm in the zone to do it, because like I was saying before, if I lose interest in it, the work is just gonna like just it's not going to be as good as it was when I was feeling it.
Yeah.
And you don't know when you're going to lose it.
I'm going to throw something out here.
Uh-oh. Wait, no, throw it out because Stephanie will take it. She needs all the junk.
Trash.
That's it.
You do not need any more trash.
By the way, that's a question that we will address in here in a second. But but I'm going to throw this out there. I think that as artists, the one thing that we have obviously is our creative brain. The creative brain is the one that really takes us the ebbs and flows of what we're doing, getting involved. You were talking about it taking longer than you expected.
Yeah.
Trust me, the thing I made today, it took me way longer than it probably looked at me presenting it. It probably like, oh, that probably took like a few minutes, or like people that look at it, right?
Wait, what did you make today?
See, doesn't even remember.
No. You waited till the last minute. That's what I was getting at.
Not so much. No,
Is this a point of contention?
No.
No.
Now it is. Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Here we go.
exactly.
Stephanie, you should understand. We're East Coast. All I do is bust these West Coast guys' balls.
Exactly.
I do. It's a culture.
Never gives me a break.
He never gets a free pass ever.
Yeah. So it's like, when you present something, it's like people judge it right away, and it's like, oh, that's all right, or whatever. And it's like they don't know what the hard effort and brain that goes into it, and the overthinking, and then the going back and forth and everything, and the distractions, social media, life, work, all this other stuff, planning, waking up, eating, all that stuff. So I think we as artists are like, sometimes we get in our own way of the things that we're doing, and it's like, there's times when I say like, all I need is like 4 hours of just like nothing, just a blank time, just to concentrate on this. But sometimes I need only like 30 minutes, I don't know. And sometimes I'll stay up all night. Sometimes I won't. Sometimes I'll do it asleep and then wake up in the morning. So it's like, there's a lot of our own brain that dictates kind of the work that we all make.
Yeah.
So, but here's the thing. When you have a boss or a creative director behind you, and I can imagine doing it for this commission that you did, I'm looking at it and it's like, it's probably, was that the first time that you ever did anything that scale?
Yes. Yeah. It was the first of that scale and the only of that scale. I would be very, very excited to do another, but that was last year that I got that. And I'm hoping that because I did that one, that'll lead to some more, because I would love to do another, but.
So there was probably budget restrictions. Did you have to work with other people and time and all this other stuff, right?
I mean, I was lucky in that when I quoted them a price, they were good with it, and they were like, we want to get you the amount that you're quoting us. So we don't have that right now, but we'll see if we can get some sponsors and whatever, and we'll work, to that level. Just to make sure that you get it. The town was really, really sweet about it. They were great. But yeah, it's the more hands on a project, the worse it is.
I bet. Yeah.
It's awful. That's one of the main reasons why I left Trader Joe's, is just because it's a company, and you're an artist for this company. When I first started there, it was like very chill. It was just, this is our this is kind of our feel. This is what we expect from you, all of this stuff. And it was a very, very great working environment. And then it started to become more corporate. I don't know if they haven't gone public, I don't think, but they were talking about it. So. They're still, they were talking about it at the end of me being there. I wasn't sure if they did at this point, but it started to change. And then they were bringing all their artists out onto the sales floor and having them like ring register and do all of this stuff. And it just became this thing where it was like, I'm no longer an artist. I work at a grocery store, and I sometimes make shop tags. So I gotta get it. But I do want to make it clear that I think that Trader Joe's is a beautiful company for the right person. If you love like getting in there and being a team player, and you want to tell people what you think of this particular hummus and what it pairs with, Trader Joe's is the place for you. But it was not the place for me.
Yeah. So
I got a question. Did your sister also pursue art, and is she doing an artist case? So you have twin artists in your family. That's pretty good. Did you have other family members that were also artists, like parents or anybody?
So, Well, we're all kind of creative to a degree. My father is really great with carpentry. My mother's always been a creative, like crafty person. She can sew, like all that kind of stuff. I have an older sister who is not an artist per se, but she's also like, we've all kind of been interested in making good with our hands. She did stained glass for a while, but my twin sister is the one that I would say out of all the family, it was her and I that really held on to it the most and did the most with it. She's a mom right now. She's got 2 small kids, so she doesn't really do much with it currently. But
arts and crafts every day.
Yeah, probably with the kids.
She got a baby and a toddler. She's busy, so she doesn't really do much with it right now. But I'm sure she'll get back into it once the kids are a little bit older. Sure. But she was the one that got me the job at Trader Joe's. We actually worked together for a while. I know that sounds really creepy and freakishly linked. I promise we're not we're not pod people. We don't follow each other around like crazy twins. But
when you're twins, there's a whole nother dynamic that we'll never understand. Believe me,
that's the one time you can do that, and it's not creepy.
For a while, it was a lot. We were together all the time. We worked together. We lived together. We had all the same friends. It was too much. And then she actually moved to LA. She lived out there for quite some time. Her and her now husband just moved back recently. But yeah,
cool.
She was also an artist for some time.
Mick, you guys are neighbors with her sister.
I know, exactly.
Now we're all neighbors with you, Paul. She's back here.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, I just missed her.
Yeah, I missed it.
So I definitely wanted to, and we were talking about the process before. So it's like, as I started looking at more of your work, I started looking at like, you actually posted this, and obviously this is a earlier version of this, and then it evolved into this, which you can actually tell the real scale of this. It's super huge.
Yeah, he's behind me. That's Cash.
Oh, there it is.
You're a dynamite painter too. Like what you're able to achieve in a sculptural sense is so impressive in itself. But obviously, your training as an illustrator comes through with your understanding of color and painting. Because when you finish these things off, I was actually talking to someone outside of the show today, explaining that when you look at something that you've done, you think it's an actual taxidermy head until you get up close and realize it's bottle caps and straws.
I appreciate it. That's really what I want. So many people are like, I liked it better before you painted it. You should leave them raw. They're so much better.
Those people are assholes. I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud?
The fucking internet, by the way. So
yeah, right.
Anyway,
yeah, right.
So many people say it, and whatever, their opinion, they're entitled to it. If they like it better, whatever. But at this point, I don't see me ever leaving it raw. And it's very much for the reason that you just said. I want to get good enough at this that when you initially look at it, you don't think it's trash, that you think, okay, that's a whatever. And then you start to think, okay, there's something off with it. What is it made out of? And then you have to get closer. And that's when you realize that
you're never going to trick the human eye. The human eye is always going to find something that draws you into it to be like, that's not right. And then when you get up on it and you realize what it is, it's even more impressive at that point.
That's precisely what I want. So thank you for saying that. That's what I'm going for.
I understand you, Stephanie. I understand.
Thank you.
So,
and
Stephanie,
I am enthralled by it. I think it's amazing.
Thank you.
There's an artist that I've seen that from a trash perspective that I think about. I don't know their name, but they have their stuff. It almost looks from afar like there's just a heap of trash. When you turn it to a certain angle, you walk to it, and they have like a little. I don't know if there's a viewfinder or something like that, but it's a center where you're supposed to look at it through, and it is there's a human being smoking a cigarette sitting on a couch or whatever it is. But from the side, it's so you probably know who that person is. I don't know.
Well, I don't know if it's who you're talking, but there's my favorite artist is Thomas Deidinger. Do you guys know him?
That must be
Deidinger, D-I-E, I think, or D-E-I-N Thomas. He's on Instagram. Look him up. So he's a trash artist, but it's exactly what you were just saying, Matt. It's like, I don't know if it's who you saw do it, but he does a lot of birds and a lot of wildlife and stuff. But it's like, it's this big, like, conglomerate, massive junk. And then you just have to look at it from a certain perspective. And it's a perfect bird. It's so good. It's mind blowing. And like, I love that when you're looking at it as this massive stuff, you look closely and he's got like Barbies and like S&M positions and like all of this random stuff. It's
I'm
like,
typing faster. I'm typing faster.
it's just like I love it. It's so imaginative and fun. It's mind blowing. It's mind blowing.
How do I spell his last name? I'm so terrible at these.
I think it's Diendger. Deidinger.
Okay.
It's Deidinger.
If he had a better last name, he'd be so easy to find.
Thomas.
Died.
Well, a lot of those artists do it from like you have to stand at a certain point to see the right perspective. But if you step out of it, then you kind of get the gist of like, how deep it is and how much work it actually takes. It's really impressive.
His stuff is dope. Look it up.
No, I honestly thought of when I saw your stuff for the first time, I thought of a lot of those artists because, like you said, it especially some of your pieces where it's like in process and you can like, I know there's something there, and you're like, oh my God. And then and it's finally when it's the finished painted piece, you're like, it almost doesn't look like trash. So it's this weird thing where I can tell what it is, and then all of a sudden, like, okay, now where'd the trash go? It's just anyway. It's a beautiful illusion. It's just anyway, big fan.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm thinking like the buffalo and the cow. I have a lot of, every time I see some of your stuff, I'm like, oh, that's my new favorite. That's my new favorite. But I do like the bovine because it's that taxidermy head look that is a display piece. You know what I mean? Yeah. Octopuses are great, but you don't see taxidermy.
I know.
Octopuses. So when you see like a taxidermy cattle head with the horns and everything, and it's not an actual cattle head, that to me is something that I want. I want in my house.
I agree. I like the game animals.
Yes.
That's my favorite stuff to make too.
And it's almost like it's a very cool homage to, no, I didn't kill this thing and cut its head off and send it out. I actually cleaned up the environment and made it.
Yeah.
And you can see the super detail in this one. Like, from far away, it's one thing, but like closer is like, whoa, like this is incredible.
Those buttons, man. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but it seems like when women get to a certain age, they just have a box of buttons in their house that they inherited usually from their mother or their grandmother or someone. But every lady at a certain age has a box of buttons and she doesn't know what to do with it. And then they ask me, hey, could you use these buttons? And at this point, I've got so many buttons that I no longer need buttons. So now I'm just like trying to find any use for them within my work. Just, you could use a button. Here you go. But got tons of them.
Yeah, but that's how people end up with that many buttons, because whoever says I don't need a button, you know what? I could use a button eventually.
And that was this question from before. It's like, like where do you get the materials for your sculptures? And it's you have a lot of it donated, correct?
Yes. So when I first started, the very first piece I ever made, I was like running around my house just gathering stuff that, everything in the recycling bin, everything that I was planning on throwing away, just the junk around my house. That was everything that went into my first piece. And then very quickly, people were like, oh, do you?
I got trash.
Right. Everyone has trash. Literally everyone has trash. But I still get messages from people being like, I've got trash. And I'm like,
keep it.
Lucky you. I'll come over there and I'll grab it right away. So like, consistently, I had people that were reaching out like, oh, could you use this? Could you use this? So for the first couple of months, even for the first 2 years, I would say that I was doing this. Anytime someone reached out and they said that they had, most commonly the stuff that I would take was like especially interesting trash. So like kids' toys that they were going to throw away.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So like, your standard, milk jug or whatever, not so much that stuff. But if it looked interesting, I would take it. And then after a couple of years of doing that, it's essentially a landfill in my basement. And I just go and I like pull from it constantly. And I no longer accept donations of trash from people. But there are certain things that I found through doing this for the past 5 years that I especially love using and that I find that I want all of the time. I always want cutlery, plastic cutlery.
Okay.
I always want like tubing, like plastic tubing or cords, that kind of stuff. I tend to use them. You can see here, there's a lot of this throughout this seahorse. I use it really kind of the way that you would use a pen to draw. or like in painting, just the way that you would create lines. You know, cord works great for that. So does tubing. And LOL doll balls. Do you guys know what those are? Any of you have daughters?
I know what an LOL doll is. Yes.
Okay, so the ball that it comes in, that garbage, stupid, pointless plastic toy.
Yeah.
There's no use for them. I don't even know if they're part of the toy. So people just throw them away. But I absolutely love them because it's like a sphere shape. And usually the stuff that I make, it's animals. So there's very rounded portions on almost all organic shapes. It's very rounded. There's almost no hard angles. So using spheres is pretty consistent through all of my work. So I love them. They're like this great buttery plastic that you can cut through, but it's not brittle, so it won't like shatter. So I absolutely love using them, and I'm always looking for them. If people want to give them to me, I always take them. So aside from that, and basketballs. I love basketballs too.
Fun.
Yeah, it's like, it works a lot like skin. So you can,
sure.
and it holds spray paint great too. Not all plastics hold spray paint very well. So there's certain ones that I won't use at all just because I've learned that it'll flake right off. But basketballs are great. So
wow.
Yeah.
So
Certain things
when you were a kid, did you spend much time in doing anything kind of construction or building or anything? Because you seem like you're very, you're very easy with like all the tools and methods you'll need to make.
So your dad was a carpenter.
Yeah, my dad does a lot of woodworking. He was always building something when I was a kid. Always like I always saw my dad as someone who could fix anything. So I think part of that might have helped it. Just kind of having it be such a familiar thing in the house. And then I just really love troubleshooting. I think it's so much fun. It doesn't matter what it is. If something's not working, I love just kind of taking it apart and trying to figure out how to get it going again.
Oh, that's cool.
If I have any working knowledge in it, obviously there's stuff that I know nothing about. I know nothing about cars. So to that level of it, that's not involved. But if it's like a little gadget or something, I'm a big
but don't let that stop you. Take the car apart. You might be able to fix it.
Yeah, I'm going to go check it out. Like my check engine light's been on for a bit. So
start by draining all the fluids. That usually helps.
I bet.
Maybe it's drowning. You don't know.
Idea guy over here.
So you bring up the cutlery about so I was actually at Monterey Bay Aquarium. If you're not familiar with it, it's a pretty big aquarium in Northern California. And this is where I saw they had an exhibit, and it was all the stuff that they had fished out of all the trash and stuff like that. And they had made all these things that you're now making. So when I saw the aquarium thing, I'm like, oh, I wonder if she did that. I don't think it wasn't related, but it's like I've been noticing that this has become like, there's other artists that do this style. And as I looked it up, it was a girl from Japan who actually made this whole big exhibit. And I'm going to pull up something that reminded me of it from what you did. It was this one.
Well, it's a fun story though. She actually copied Stephanie.
Well, that's what I'm hoping, and it's like, but it's just so interesting just to take all these things and it was the whole purpose of the exhibit was like keeping the ocean clean and stuff like that. Yeah. So it had a bigger purpose, So when I saw this and I saw your other aquarium stuff, I'm like, wow, this has so much impact, and like making change. Yeah,
that the bit of success that I found on the internet and the couple little publications that I've been offered and all that kind of stuff, I think that is the main reason why all that has come to me, is because people really love the recycling aspect of it. They really love, the environmental aspect of it. Which, by the way, I don't, to no discredit to it, I love that is a byproduct of what I'm doing. And I love that, I am recycling. I love that I'm keeping all of it from a landfill. But the unfortunate part about it is that anytime I'm approached by any of these publications and these people, they're always like, oh, so what got you into recycling? And like, that's the whole angle. And then they're trying to steer me into this little box where they're like, environmentalist, eco-friendly, Stephanie Hongo. And I'm just like, yes, but I just want you to know, it's not, that wasn't the goal. Like
You're
it's
an artist.
lovely, and I absolutely adore that I get to be considered within that box. But it's just, I use spray paint. I'm not an eco artist. I have considered trying to go other directions, but it's plastic. Usually, there's only so much paint you can use on plastic. So, not to say that it won't eventually be eco-friendly completely, but that's not my goal.
Right.
The goal isn't to be an eco artist. It's to be a really great sculptor from unusual reusable materials.
I love it. Yeah.
That's great. Do you ever get so pissed off that you tell the person on the phone that you hunt baby seals in the off season?
It'd be horrifying. I had one lady. We went through the whole thing, and I told her basically what I just said to you guys. And we went through the whole spiel, and then the article never got printed. And I'm almost certain it's because she was like, "We were really hoping that you would lean into the environmental thing."
Oh yeah,
not
of course.
So sorry.
Just so you know, Paul and I are pretty political when it comes to our pumpkins, and we eat
and we hate the environment.
Yeah, we eat what we don't. We just, what we carve, so it doesn't go to waste.
Yeah, that's about as far as it goes, though.
Yeah.
This whole show started so that people didn't have to talk about politics or the shit going on in the world at the moment. Yeah. So that's my favorite part of it. We brought on artists.
Want to talk about COVID now? Let's talk about COVID.
I thought I had COVID. Apparently, I'm a big wimp, and I just had a cold. I tested negative twice.
I don't know if I don't think I've ever had it, but who knows?
Yeah, well,
I've never tested positive for COVID, so
that's a good thing.
I haven't been sick in 2 years.
Good for you, Stephanie. You're so environmental.
I feel like I'm winning.
You are winning.
Yeah, Jody brings up a good point. She's an abstract acrylic artist, and she brings up a really interesting dynamic of your work as well, which is your abstract backgrounds. So the colors and just everything is so like the contrast of it is very impressive.
The bovine one, the cowhead one, I love too, because you said you always use a wood background, right? Mm-hmm. I'm assuming it wasn't oak or some hardwood, right? But you painted it to look as such. It looks like a nice old piece of wood.
Yeah, I picked a nice piece of wood for that one. Often I'll use MDF. So
MDF is awesome because it won't warp on you.
Right, and I like the smooth surface of it. So like the bison was made on that. But I chose specifically to use a nice piece of wood that I could stain when I made Cash, the Longhorn.
I hate that you named it. That means nobody's going to buy it because you love it.
I name all of my pieces.
Every single one of them.
Every single one has had a name.
That's funny. Matt and I do the same thing. We call them trash.
I number mine. Yeah.
We call them compost.
I name everything. Ever since I was a kid, like I would name the remote control. I'd name like the garden.
That's cool.
So, like everything gets a name. So like my cars, I always name my cars. So every piece has had a name.
But you have to name your remote control because when it goes bad, you can go, "You suck, Johnny. You suck."
I don't do it anymore. I used to. I've gone out of that phase. I'm naming too many trash creatures. There's no time. But I name every single one, except sometimes when I was doing commissions, I no longer do commissions really, but when I was, some of the people preferred to name their own pieces. So the ones that, wanted to name their own, they named,
Like they named them before you made them? Like they said, I need a Roy. I want a Roy.
No, when you go adopt a dog and it's named Dodger, you're like, I'm not going to name it a dog Dodger. His name is Goose.
He's obviously a shithead. He's got to be called shithead.
There's been some times where they give me the name and I'm like, it's not a whatever. That's not.
Yeah, but that spoils it for you, right? Like you need to have that freedom to.
I'm not precious about anything I make.
Oh, you are in the club because I could kill you.
I think it's because I worked for Trader Joe's for 5 years in commercial art, and you make a chalk. You spend like 3 hours making a chalkboard. It stays up for a couple weeks, and then you just erase it and you make another one. So you can't precious anything.
Yeah,
sure. Like doing the windows at Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Can't get
Christmas. You put a bunch of elves on it dancing with a donut, and next thing you know, it's Easter, and you got to.
Yeah, but they always do a great job on the donut. I got to admit, the strawberry frosted with the sprinkles always looks great from the outside.
Yeah, not precious at all.
So you let me just. I kind of want to backtrack a little. You say you don't take a lot of commissions anymore. So you're really. Are you prepping for like a gallery show, or what are we doing here? Because you're definitely branching out on your own.
what's behind me is all I have available for sale at the moment. So
Wow.
It's gotten to the point, which this is what we were talking about yesterday, where I'm like, when is it going to come crashing down? I feel like it's going to be any minute. I've gotten to the point now where I don't take commissions because I make something and I put it online, and then it's usually sold within a half an hour. So
wow.
I'm at a pace right now where I can afford to make what I want to make, put it for sale, and, you know, sustain myself that way, make a living doing what I want to be doing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it might come to a point where this just kind of burns out and I have to go back to commissions, in which case worse things have happened.
Yes.
But commissions can, I mean, as you guys know, commissions can be tough because
really
the client's vision of what they want can be so very different from what you envision.
Oh my God, yeah.
Sometimes their temperament is something that you're just not even interested in vibing with. So it's just, if I can avoid them, I would prefer to just make my own stuff, but that might change down the road, but we'll see. Right now it's been okay that I've been able to just make my own stuff and sell that way.
Yeah, Paul and I, anytime we have a gig anywhere, and I'm speaking for you, Paul, but whenever we have a gig and the person says, you know, just you do you be you. We want you to we know what you can make. You'll go do it. It's that sigh of relief of, oh my God, I'm going to have so much fun. Otherwise, like, you know, we want like a troll with a kind of a witch's head with a little bit of a, you know, like, and then, you know, you're never going to, you know, get up to.
And my grandson's here. Could you cut my grandson's name in the side of the pumpkin?
Yes.
How about I hit your grandson over the head with the pumpkin when I'm done?
Oh my God. I got to the point when I was doing commissions where I just flat out had to say, I'm no longer doing pets. No more dogs.
Oh,
wow. But you could actually do that. That's so, you could do portraits out of trash. That's insanely good. You realize that, right?
But here's the thing. Like thank goodness every dog I ever did out of trash was well received and very much loved by the person that commissioned it. But people love their dogs so goddamn much that if it was a little bit and you get the wrong person, I was just so scared of making it not what they had envisioned that I was just like, no more dogs. I'm done doing dogs. They stress me out. I can't do it anymore.
How about people? Can I commission a portrait of Mickey Mondragon?
Oh my God. I honestly, I would
with his wrestling mask on.
I'd love to try a person again. I've done some likenesses. I've done a mermaid. I've done the Incredible Hulk. I've done a Buddha.
Nice.
I did the Pale Man from Pan's Labyrinth, but I did that so early into doing this that it's not good. I pulled it off my Instagram. I was just like, I got to try this again someday because it was a miss. But I do want to do some more human forms in the future, more characters, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but you're game animals and everything. You've got to be on such a roll with like your buffalo behind you and you're in big. What's his name? The big guy in the back? Cash.
Cash is my favorite. Damn it! Now I know the name Cash. Now it's like, how much cash is it going to cost me to have cash? I'd be out of cash.
That one's Tonka.
Tonka and Cash. Oh, Tatanka.
Well,
Tatanka. Yeah, I love that. Okay, so but you're doing so great with those. I can't imagine you like wanting to branch out. I mean, I guess any artist does, but I mean those are so like obviously sought after. Like you said, the moment you create it, you get a line of people asking for it, and I mean, why not just continue making those awesome things?
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, that's one of the main reasons why I want to try to do characters now is because I've afforded myself a bit of a cushion of demand where I can just kind of branch into what seems fun to me.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And try it, and hopefully it sells. But if it doesn't, then lesson learned, and I'll just go back to what I know works. So
that's okay. Perfect.
Matt, are you writing this down? Because I feel like you have completely missed the boat. How do we get to? She's in like a position where she can just say, "No, it's what I want to make."
Like,
damn it.
It's gonna come crashing down. I know.
Never. No, it's not.
It's
not. You're on the rise, kid. You're on the rise.
I hope so.
100%. Are you kidding me? With all the green shit going on, you're gonna have one of those Katonkas. That's gonna be the hood emblem for every electric car in 15 years.
That would be
dope. Do you ever get like character design or anything?
Wow, that looks just like you. What's that made out of?
Well, that was my Halloween costume. She's actually behind me. the headdress for Medusa.
Oh,
I did not make that out of trash. I purchased, I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's like this mesh tubing. It's very extremely lightweight. It's mainly used in crafting, I think. I think that they were also using it. There's like another word for it for like rave kids. They used it for like, you know, headdresses.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Do you know what I mean?
So it's like a pink or a purple.
Yeah. So I used the black kind, and I just, you know, I made a basically like a skull cap with duct tape, and I just like hot glued all of this mesh tubing onto it to make it look like snakes. But then in order to kind of, you know, fix the illusion that it was snakes, I got some rubber snakes. I cut the tails and the heads off of them, and I attached them to the tubing. Because if I was going to just like make a whole headdress out of rubber snakes, it would be like 600 pounds. So
You'd have a
can't hold it on my head. I can't wear it for more than 10 minutes. So lightweight was super important. And I was looking for a Medusa headdress just to kind of get inspiration. And I could not find anything like this on the internet. Nothing at all existed. I found ones that were really good, really, really good, and made out of something very similar. But they all had like some sort of like a crown that the headdress
hold it all
yeah.
in.
oh
Yeah, I wanted it to look like it came directly from my scalp.
out of your head.
And, yeah, and I just
You can't do that without duct tape and hot glue. Everybody knows that.
that's exactly what I did. I took a plastic bag and I laid it over my head. And then I just like duct taped around it so I could get a skull cap that was the size of my head and tape it so that way it's not sticking to my hair.
Yeah.
And then pull it off, you cut around it, and then just you got something to glue everything onto. So yeah, that was my Halloween costume for last year.
I love it. You think like just like how every other normal person thinks when it comes to arts and crafts, right? You can make the best shit out of, and you look to your left, look to your right. What do I got? What's in the house right now? I don't want to run to the craft store, and you can make it look better than the other shit. Like I have a bunch of like mascot heads that I used to make because at the time my girlfriend, now wife, would say, "Really? That's what you're gonna make?" And I go, "Are you telling me I can't? I got masking tape, a cardboard box, and
MacGyver.
and some enthusiasm." and it was like if she told me I couldn't make it, I would make it, and it would be better than the shit you'd see online.
Yeah.
But now I can't throw it away, which makes me a hoarder. Like I can't just let go of shit. Like I got things all over that. Now I'm like I could do that way better, but I just don't want to. But this one's made of cardboard and masking tape.
My plan for that one, I think I'm gonna try to raffle it.
Which you were raffling?
The Medusa headdress. After I made that last Halloween, I had a lot of ladies reaching out to me being like, "How did you make it?" And I was giving them all the instructions. And then after like passing out all these instructions, I was just like, I don't know.
Nobody wants to do it. They just want it.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of them are like, "What are you asking for? I'll buy it off."
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, let's get to
Halloween
it.
costume.
All right. So we'll raffle it off, and I'll get it on the raffle. You're not supposed to zoom in on me when I'm doing that shit, Mick.
Oh, sorry.
Come on, Mickey.
He was winking covertly.
Yes,
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I just got it's allergies. I got allergies.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is. That's
Allergies.
Side
We'll do
effect
the
of
raffle.
the
Sort of like how Ted Haynes is going to raffle off that sculpture when we go to Monsterpalooza. I'm going to bribe the shizer out of that guy for that thing.
just buy more tickets. Just buy
That's
more
going to be
tickets
on the flight before I am. Yes, Stephanie, let's raffle off the Medusa headset. My wife wouldn't love it.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of ladies that were asking to just buy it outright. And it was enough people that I was just like, you know what, I'm going to sit on it for a little bit. And I also just didn't feel it right selling it because
You like
I'm
it.
sure
You
as
made
you
it.
guys, well, I'm sure as you guys know, what you make for yourself is a very different quality
Right.
than what you'd make for
Right.
someone else.
Sure.
So, like the inside's all fucked up. Like there's just, it only fits my head. I didn't make it adjustable. Like it's not,
Right.
it's not for someone else. It's for me.
Yeah.
It's
So-
for one night. It's literally made for
Right.
one night. And if it survives,
Great.
success.
Exactly. Did not make
Yeah.
it to last, did not make it sale worthy. So
Yeah.
I didn't feel right selling it to anyone, but raffling it, if I make it for a low enough number, whatever, just like let them know that it's the whole situation behind it. And then I don't feel guilty if it falls apart a little bit because, you know,
Well,
Well,
Paul, I
only
just
sell 100 tickets at $100 a raffle ticket. And that's pretty affordable.
that'll
Paul,
do
I
it.
just heard a cork. What was that cork, Paul? I just heard a cork.
What are you, a dog? Wow, that was amazing, Matt. This is why we love each other. You do
I
know
also
this, right?
have my shaker that.
You know why? I did it right in look. Listen, I did it right in front of my mic. Sorry, but this is why I
Well,
love
if
you.
you're gonna be obvious about it, then I'll shake it up.
Oh, there we go.
A condoler, whatever they call it.
So
Hold on, let me
Stephanie,
shake up a beer and open it. That'll be smart.
yeah, Stephanie, we coined the phrase carving oil because of the more we have of whatever's left in this thing,
You gotta loosen the joints.
Ends up helping our creativity somehow. So
You're looking your wrist.
There's a happy spot because too far one direction.
oh yeah, you got to stop. You got to know when you're okay. I've had too much. I'm going to ruin this thing. Yeah, you got to.
I know when mine is. It's when I walk away and I walk outside and sit by the fire. And then I never turn off any lights downstairs when I wake up in the middle of the night thinking somebody broke into my house because all the lights are on downstairs.
Have you I assume you haven't had a fire outside yet this year?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh yeah, no, high winds. High winds means keep it low.
Stop it. There's fire hazards all over. You're not allowed to do it.
Listen, I live next
Hey,
to a
don't turn 'em
cop
in,
and a
Stephanie.
firefighter. If they don't call the cops, then I'm in.
Oh, they were called on us last year, so now I'm scared.
Well, now you got to burn their house down. That's how it works.
I don't know who did it, or else I'd be throwing
Now
stones.
you burn all their
Burn
houses
down the
down. You burn them out until somebody gives up.
The guy showed up and he said to my boyfriend, he was just like, I suggest just make friends with your neighbors. And he was like, I thought we were friends. Like, I don't know who did this.
Which way was the wind blowing? Which way? Oh, listen, you need to send out a friendly flyer that says you're a licensed gun owner and you will fucking kill me.
Yes. So
If you live in a neighborhood where people call the cops when you have a fire, you need to burn the neighborhood down.
I'll let it know.
This is
That's
all
how it
advice from the Carvers and Creators, by the way.
Yes.
Mark,
We'll edit that out later.
You heard it
Seriously,
here first.
who calls the cops on a fire in your backyard? I mean, unless you were burning pallets next to somebody else's fence. Yeah, that's a little egregious.
It was not egregious.
I hate, check the oldest woman in your neighborhood.
We do have a busybody.
Who's the one?
Oh.
Do you have a dog?
I do. I have two.
Okay, don't pick up that dog's poop one time in front of one person's house a week. And whoever calls the cops is the one that called the cops, called you for the fire.
I don't walk him.
You don't walk your dog?
No, we have a yard. It's got a fenced-in yard.
Yeah, there you go. Run them.
Oh, come on now. Do you want to find out who called? Listen, we got to find out who called the cops on the fire.
For the sake of the scheme.
Can your dog take fake poops? You can just have it take a fake poop in front of everybody's house. And then whoever calls the cops is the person, because that's the same person that calls the cops on a fire is the same person that calls the cops on the dog pooping on your front lawn.
We'll have a powwow, me and Danny Bonaducci, and I'll let him know.
That's who your boyfriend is Danny Bonaducci?
It's my dog.
Oh. Is he a red dog? Is he a little red-headed dog?
He's a Shiba Inu.
Oh, a little Shiba Inu. They take little Tootsie Rolls anyway.
Yeah, he's got dainty shits.
Oh yeah. So they're
It's
gonna
pretty
think
easy
a
to
cat
figure
went
out.
by and- Paul, it doesn't work because they'll think it's a cat did it.
Yeah.
They'll be
so
like, a
gross.
squirrel
I
shit
hate
in my
having
yard.
animals. Oh, I hate having animals. Blech.
Oh.
Paul, tell us
more-
about what you're carving there.
What's that?
Tell us what you're carving there. What your
Because you
progress.
focus on me.
You
for the last
zoomed
10
in, you
I
might as
love
well.
how Mickey just finds and just focuses on me. Well, tonight's subject was glorious hermaphrodite, I believe.
You're close.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. So on point. No, so we're going with fantasy and
Yep.
giddy, right?
Giddy fantasy.
All right. So I haven't spent a lot of time below because there's a lot of the primary shapes to work out. I really want to push this in. So I kind of started focusing on this. I want it to be like he heard a dirty joke and his mother's right next to him, like he can't laugh at it. So giddy, like it's so funny, but I can't. So it's gonna be like a ogre or troll. So this is all gonna be solid, right? So I'm gonna deal with the horns, and I'll reach out to Matt later to figure out how to do hair.
Oh,
Maybe if I want to do hair or braids. So I just kind of want to, like right in here is where I'm focusing right now. So I got some good wrinkles going right now.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't. And what sucks is
I
I
love
got to
it.
go so much further, so I got to get rid of them and dig them out again. And these things take time, kids. These things take time. So I'm gonna work slow. I already got the emotion. The bottom lip is garbage right now, I know, but this is primary shape. So give me time. All right. I don't like Mickey. You know what? We'll talk about this in LA, but I don't like that you focused on me for this one. I wasn't ready, man. I wasn't ready.
You always got to be ready. Oh shit! Do I forget? Mickey, thanks a lot.
As
Never
he said,
you again. Okay, so
Mickey's in control, man. He's got
I know.
control.
Okay, so I lighting is everything. So let me see if I can get this guy. So what I'm thinking, I wanted to do some kind of goat-headed guy. He's got his tongue out. You see his little tongue right there? So he's going to be like overly thinking, and he's squinting and right. Anyway, I don't know what to do with all this yet, but I do want to do horns, like kind of coming around or something, because he's a fantasy guy. But anyway, so this is my
Dude,
rough attempt so far.
That's quick work of that. Yes, lately, Mick, stop me if I'm wrong, but how quick has he been with primary shapes and like roughing
totally.
the shadows that you get is actually it's annoying. I gotta be honest. I
ended up really recently giving my soul to Satan, and so everything's been like super like fast lately. I don't know what it is.
Worked out.
It does explain a lot. I mean, I wouldn't do anything with that forehead. I love it.
Really, like
the shadow. Like, well, it's a fantasy character, so it doesn't need to have wrinkles if you don't want them. I love the flat bridge of the nose. I love the width of the eyes.
Yeah, way out here
because he's pissed off that you're carving right now. It's so far ahead of mine.
He's goaty. He's very goaty. And then I'm not really happy with all this yet, but
I like it. You got nice depth in the corner of the mouth.
But I'm leaving this here because he's going to have some kind of a horn here and a horn here, but I don't know what they're going to be looking like.
How are you going to do the back end? Because Stephanie said we had to do a centaur. So
well, that's true.
Like,
I'll turn it around and start over.
Just turn around. It's a horse. Yeah, it's perfect.
No, this whole side's blank, like a canvas.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's such a charming medium. I absolutely love it. I was smitten just like going through like both of your Instagrams and just showing my boyfriend. I was just like, look at how good this is. Stop it with that face. Can you look at this? They're so good. I absolutely love them. I love how caricature-y they are, like so expressive and just, exaggerated features and all of that. It's just, they're so charming. I absolutely love them.
Thank you. Very kind of you. We like to call that lack of training. Everything we do has to be caricaturized.
I actually listened to, I forget what it was. I think it was a documentary, but a caricature artist. And he was saying that it was like the style that an artist has is really just kind of them leaning into the stuff they're shit at. It's just like, it's their encompassing, attempt at trying to be good at something when they know that this doesn't work for them. So they lean so far into this other direction, which I can absolutely say the same thing for myself.
I do the same thing with eyeballs. Like my eyeballs are, and Mickey, you're always saying, and Matt, you've said it, and a couple other guys said my eyes, but I have the hardest time doing realistic eyes in my brain that I want them to be the way that I want them. I want it to be round. I want it to be cartoon.
Yes. I do the same thing with my stuff too. For the longest, it's not so much anymore, kind of, but when I first started doing this stuff, especially doing like a head-on piece, like what I have behind me, like a bust where it needs to be very symmetrical. I do my eyes mostly all black. I just like the look of it being all black.
All black is dynamite.
It started off that way though, because to try to go in and make a very detailed, realistic eye, if there was anything off in the symmetry on the build, it would be very obvious in the painting and then it would look bonkers. So I was just doing them all black as like a crutch because I couldn't really do a realistic eye and have it look good. But then in doing that, I developed a style and now I way prefer them that way. Even if I could do a realistic eye, I would prefer not to. I like the look of the black.
That's crazy. I think the same exact way. Like that, by the way, that fucking bear.
I know.
That bear. Come on. Tiger's awesome, but the bear with the is that a gear? Is that I don't even know what it is. It's amazing.
On the forehead?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's one of those holders for paper plates.
God,
of course.
I'm so not talented. I can't do these things. But yeah, no, the black eyes is awesome. and I agree with you that it's a crutch in the sense of maybe when you're doing humans, because you expect to see like some sort of a pupil. But with animals, they're animals. Like they don't need to have pupils. They still look like.
Mhm.
I mean, some animals have been a
It's
thing.
more important for humanoids.
People want to like make an animal cuddly.
But see, what's beautiful in this one here too, if you look to the one on the right, the glint you see in the eye is the reflection on that
on the
kind
paint.
of on the paint. And to me that's almost as like if you're looking at it as a, you know, walking around it and seeing it, that light is going to catch on the certain parts and make it even more realistic than if you had painted it. To me, I mean, I think that's just anyway. Everything about that just, you know, the glint in the eye where we do it is a piece of pumpkin and it's static because there's a picture we have to take and there's one direction you can look at it. But when it's a glare, a reflection like that, that's so much more, you know, realistic to me.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, but that's what black does. Like with the blacked out eyes, is it could be
Yeah.
looking anywhere.
Yeah, and there's always like a few layers of clear coat on everything, so the black always is super shiny.
Oh, look at that.
If you don't get the eyelids right, or the orbital cavity, or the like, it all has to flow and trick your eye into thinking that it's actually an eye cavity of that animal. So who gives a shiza what? Because
So
if you did paint the
how big is
eye,
that?
the eye would make it static, even if it was painted perfectly.
Yeah, it would.
And it's just looking in a direction. At least this is a piece of artwork, and it's made out of like found items and junk. It shouldn't have a pupil. If anything, it should be a button for a pupil, and that's just like a whole different ball of wax.
I got buttons on buttons on buttons.
You do
I see why you love that tubing. It makes the texture on it. The texture on it makes it so beautiful.
Yeah, it's such a quick, easy way to just draw your eye through the piece and just
so cool.
Just make lines. Basically, make lines on the piece like you would if you were painting or drawing.
Yeah. What's the scale of this? Well, I mean, if you put your hand up against it, how big would I'm trying to get?
I believe this was 20 by 20. So like that's a lot of Tupperware lids on the mantle.
Okay, so like the size of a plate or something like that would be.
It's bigger than that. It's
20 by 20. What kind of Matt's 6'6". His plates are bigger than normal people's plates.
20 feet by 20 feet. That's what I just heard. Okay, we're good.
Matt's plate is a picnic table.
It's a
frisbee.
A little over 2 foot by 2 foot.
Frisbee.
Or under 2 foot.
It's roughly 2 feet square.
Matt, it's like a TV dinner tray.
Okay.
Wow, that's not a TV dinner tray.
That
that's
one's
like
much bigger.
2 feet long.
That one was 4 feet long.
4 feet.
Wow.
You know what? The most impressive part is how you tie in those shapes, like the what do you call that back part? The brain part. It's not a brain part of it. The mantle, yes. But
the mantle.
The tough part of that would be to find the primary shape and then tie it back into the body. And you did that seamlessly. What is that?
That was a building of various things. I think that there quite a bit of that. One of those huge LOL doll balls. They come in all different sizes, but there's one that's like bigger than a basketball, and it's like suitcase type thing. I don't know, but I think I used one for that on the very edge of the mantle. I think is what.
Did you start with something like that? Like when you're building that, I mean, where's your starting point? When you know what you already drawn it out, right?
So I sketch it on the board first, typically, and then I try to think what part of this animal is recessed the furthest back. And I'll try to work on that part first, and then I'll work my way forward. Unless it's a bust of an animal where it's like symmetrical, in which case the eyes are going to be key. So I have to figure out where the eyes are going to be placed first. So sometimes that involves just kind of building out like a large portion of it, set the eyes in place, and then build everything around it. Because if the eyes aren't symmetrical, the whole thing is going to be off.
Yeah, falls apart.
Agree. The eyes are the key, especially with when you're doing those taxidermy type busts.
Yeah, those ones are probably the trickiest for that reason. And octopus are fairly straightforward. It's just kind of a lot of the same when you put all the arms in. It's just a matter of trying to get them all in there because I'm such a stickler for making sure I show all 8. Like I can't there's so many images of octopus where you see only a couple of their arms because
Yeah.
like from the perspective, it's just some of them are behind the mantle and all of that. But
Right.
I feel like I gotta have every one of them represented, even if it's just like the little end of it coming out the back. So they can be a little tricky in that way. I've made like 13 octopus pieces. They're very popular.
Wow.
How long does an octopus take? Oh, look at that.
Oh, wow. Look at that. How long would a creation this size?
It depends on the size. So both of these, I think, were 16 inches by 20 inches, if I remember correctly. So these only took a couple days to do. But if they're very large or very involved, like the pieces behind me, they're over a week to work on.
Yeah, easy.
But the little ones tend to go pretty quickly.
The thing I love about some of this, I mean, like how it spills over your border. So you've got your big border in the back, you've got your small border, and how it spills over. It even brings it more to the front. Like it just makes it more alive. It just, there's a million things I like about this.
That's another one too, that it was just like doing that started with just a mistake. It was just like a misplanning by me of just like, I'm going to end up making this larger than the board in order to make it proportionate. And then it just seemed more dynamic to do it that way. So I started to lean into it more and try to do a little bit more of that.
Oh yeah. It's so beautiful when it comes over the outside, then it emphasizes it even more.
Thank you.
The old happy accident.
Yes.
Look at this.
I was so worried about making this one because moose antlers are huge.
Massive. Yeah.
So the board on this piece is 3 feet by 3 feet, and from antler point to antler point, it's over 5 feet. I was like, these are going to be huge antlers. I'm not building this on wood. It's not made out of steel. I don't know if plastic on plastic is going to be strong enough to hold the weight of the antlers. So I was like, do I have to put an armature in here? What am I going to have to do in order to make this work? And then I ended up finding fan blades, like from a ceiling fan. And that ended up working really well. And it already had the bracket system from the ceiling fan in place. So I just had to find a very strong piece of plastic to attach the fan blades to. And then I was just able to do the rest of it from there.
Now, what are you using to attach plastic to plastic?
It's
You're not just using the glue gun.
All screws. I don't trust adhesives really at all. Occasionally
That's
I'll use
wow.
It's all screws. I like drywall screws the best because they're so pointy.
Yeah,
that too. So yeah, they don't have a curved top to them, so I prefer that they're nice and flat. So it's mostly screws. Occasionally when I'm doing a very small piece, I'll have to use glue, but like I said, I don't really trust adhesives, but Gorilla Glue makes a hot glue that works really well. So that's all I really use if I'm gluing something.
So if you lifted this big guy up, because what you described doesn't sound very heavy, so the whole thing isn't that heavy.
It's not. It's relatively light. Let's just put it that way. But I could move it myself, but with some difficulty. I couldn't hold it. I couldn't hold it to my chest. Really, it was too heavy for me to do that. But I could kick it around and like move it where I needed for a picture or whatever. But yeah.
All right. Well, don't take this the wrong way, but dude. Wow. Some girls like I'm like, dude, seriously? That's insane. So that's hollow? Like you form it out?
No. I mean,
thank God, because I would have had an aneurysm.
There's certainly parts that end up hollow, but since it's such a building process, it's like, okay, let's get it as a base, and then I have to have something to attach the next pieces to. So then that's attached, and then attach. Right. So it's just like this building out of plastics. Whatever.
So to get the final form, like for instance, if you like, wait, I need these cheeks a little bit bigger or whatever, you're just adding.
Yep.
You're finding something else that goes on top, but you're literally finding something else. You're digging and finding. You know what? This spoon looks perfect here. Like that's crazy.
You're like Stephanie Copperfield.
Exactly.
It's just magic.
What's behind this curtain? Oh, some more spoons.
And you talked about the pitfalls of it, of trying to keep the symmetry to trick the brain, especially on like this part, right? This is what tricks us, is the orbital cavity right here.
Yep, absolutely.
And you nail it. It's nuts.
Yeah.
Thank you. I like to.
You know what? I'm mad at you. I'm depressed. The talent too much.
I like to take like a pong ball and then put it inside like an LOL doll ball half. So you've got like a half circle with the pong ball in there. So that it's basically like you said, like the orbital cavity with the eyeball.
Ball in, yeah.
That, and then you can use like tubing or wire or whatever to like make
the eyelid,
the lid and all that, and then actually use like a basketball piece as like skin to put over it. So you're like making a lid. You know, it's so fun. I love it.
Matt, we don't got to cover squash anymore.
I know.
I write it down. LOL doll, ping pong ball.
They're the best plastics.
I forgot everything else.
Such a stupid toy, but the plastic's great for what I do.
It's better than the original toy,
and it doesn't end up in the ocean either, which
it's not ending up in the ocean.
Yeah. Win-win.
Well,
don't make her
have
environmentalist, Matt, at the end.
And you don't mean my environmental stance. I can't help it.
We have so much more to talk about, and we've gone through 90 minutes. It's the fastest 90 minutes on the internet. And but if you want to see more of Stephanie's work, please go to her Instagram.
You all have already. Everyone knows you have.
Everybody already follows her.
Come on.
Is there anywhere else we can see your work, or is this primarily where you put a lot of
my Instagram is really where I've directed most of the interest for my work. Anytime anyone asks me, that's where I always want them to go. That's basically the complete profile of what I've done, my portfolio from working at Trader Joe's up until now. But I do have a Facebook page, which is also Sugarfox, one word. And then I've got a TikTok. Unfortunately, I hate TikTok so much. I hate it. But I have it, and I'm trying. So
I'll follow you.
I have a TikTok, which is also Sugarfox_art. I'm trying to build that up.
Awesome.
You know.
Awesome. Well, we also have social media too.
Yes.
Yeah. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. We also have a TikTok, but we haven't done much with it either.
Yeah, we don't really pay attention. I'm gonna stop paying attention to it really soon.
Mickey, we have TikTok
after June. After we get back from Monster
We all need to make a better effort. That's where the future is of social media. TikTok.
It is.
God help us all if that's the case.
I think it's the case.
Oh no.
Yeah, all my kids. So I have three kids, and they all, for some reason, they share TikToks like they do oxygen.
Oof. Oof. I don't like it either.
Okay.
Well, Stephanie, thank you so much. We'd love to have you back if you'd be interested. We have so much more to talk about, you know. But thank you for joining us tonight.
My pleasure. Thank you. I appreciate you inviting me. You guys are amazing. You have amazing.
This was so fun. This was so much fun. I had the best time tonight. Let's do it every night. Every night.
Matt and Paul, any last words before we sign off for tonight?
Yes, where can I get some of? I need some of the what are they? Brat dolls? What was it?
LOL doll balls.
LOL dolls. I need LOL doll balls sent to my house.
Send them to her.
Send them to me. I want to do some shit too.
No, send them to her. Come on.
We'll split them. We'll split them down the middle.
All right. We'll send you more kabocha squash. How's that?
Oh, that's a good alternative.
Well, we will be back.
Stephanie. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. We'll be back next Thursday with another Carvers and Creators. We'll see you next week, everyone. Good night.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Night, everybody.
And we are